Der NATO. Der junge Ministerpräsident Majko sieht darin eine historische Chance. Zum ersten Mal stehe Albanien an der Seite der stärksten Militärmacht der Welt. Es ist für mich eine Freude, Soldaten zu sehen, die wie ihre Väter im Zweiten Weltkrieg gekommen sind, um die gleichen Prinzipien zu verteidigen. Gegen Diktatoren, gegen faschistische Regimes wie das von Milosevic. Am Nachmittag treffen wir noch einmal Präfektin Čečo bei einer kurzen Kaffeepause mit ihrem Mann. Wir müssen diese Krise meistern, sagt sie. Wir haben gar keine andere Wahl. Und dabei schwingt viel Hoffnung mit. Es klingt vielleicht zynisch, aber die Krise, die unser Land überwältigt hat, ist auch eine Chance. Wir können unsere Infrastruktur verbessern. Vielleicht werden wir in Europa integriert. Es ist eine Chance, dass unser armes Land einen Weg in den Westen findet. Albanien genau einen Monat nach Beginn des Krieges. Makbule Čečo weiß, ihr Land wird erst dann wieder zur Ruhe kommen, wenn die Hunderttausenden Flüchtlinge in ihre Heimat zurückkehren können. Und ohne Bodentruppen im Kosovo, das fürchtet sie, ohne Bodentruppen könnte das zu spät geschehen.
Deputy Prime Minister Vuk Draskovic has urged an end to what he called the lying to the Serbian people by those in power. In a television interview with the private station Studio B, he said the people must be told the truth, that NATO was not facing defeat, Russia would not come to Yugoslavia's rescue, and that world opinion was against Belgrade. Dmitry Luthra reports.
Mr. Draskovic first came to prominence leading huge street demonstrations against Slobodan Milosevic 2 years ago. But he's a maverick, and since then he's joined ranks with the very man he had so vehemently protested against, so that Serbia and Yugoslavia can present a united front in their conflict with the West. By calling for a UN-led force in Kosovo, he's revealed a crack which NATO is sure to seize on. Mr. Draskovic expressed his views on a local Serb television channel, but they were views he also stated in a phone interview with the BBC last night.
We must give all guarantees to Albanians in Kosovo, high level, very specific level autonomy, with the maximum of all rights, and with including returning back all of Albanian refugees.
The comments highlight a power struggle within the Serb government. Mr. Draskovic and the ultra-nationalist Serb Prime Minister Vojislav Šešelj are sworn rivals. The accusation that certain people have been lying to the country was certainly aimed at Mr. Šešelj, but it was also aimed at other figures in the leadership, although Mr. Draskovic insists he was not criticizing President Milosevic. Be that as it may, his comments are not going to be welcomed in Belgrade. The effect of NATO's bombing campaign has been to unite the population behind Mr. Milosevic and to squeeze out politicians expressing moderate views. Dmitry Luthra, BBC News.
Orchestrating a display of unity from quite so many countries is no easy task, but by glossing over a few tensions, the NATO summit achieved it this weekend. And on Sunday, NATO leaders included other countries in their security umbrella, offering economic aid and military protection to states threatened by the Balkan conflict.
We will stand by the neighboring countries that have accepted risks and hardship in support of this effort. If Mr. Milosevic threatens them for helping us, we will respond.
And at the age of 50, NATO has redefined its future here to grow from a purely defensive alliance to resolving conflicts beyond its own borders. But Kosovo dominated the summit, and Tony Blair emerged as the leading hawk. NATO says it's determined to continue the airstrikes, but there's still no agreement on when or whether to use ground troops. NATO leaders left Washington with some of the central questions still unanswered. Can this 19-nation alliance summon the will and the consensus to win the war in Kosovo, and how long will it take? Katty Kay, BBC News, Washington.
By town of Kukas, we found a group of about 60 Kosovars preparing their convoy for the journey south to Tirana. The Gashi and Haliti families had only crossed into Albania at 3 this morning. Their ordeal began 9 days ago when, they say, Serbs attacked their village, Kruša Emava. It was the day after the NATO airstrikes began. Grenades rained down. Husni Agashi was injured in the attack. Marema Haliti's daughter-in-law was killed instantly. After the attack, they hid for several days in the forest until they found their chance to escape. The Gashis and Halitis are wealthy farmers who once produced vegetables for all of Yugoslavia. This truck should be filled with their prize-winning sugar beets and peppers. Now it's become their mobile home on their Balkan journey. But next to most, trapped in this colossal exodus, this vegetable truck is a luxury. Durim asks if we can ride south with them, trading our places in the car. And they welcome us. As we pull away, there's room for one more, a 3-week-old baby boy. There's a debate about how many we are, but we think there are 28 of us intertwined. Avni, what's the plan?
Spored të strehohemi, kem ku të futemi kokën, sigurojmë ushqim për fëmijët tanë, për planet tjera të shohim.
Avni Haliti is just a year away from university graduation, and if he ever gets to see the day, he'll be an economist.
Është vështirë vendosësh në këto momente se çfarë planet mund të kesh. Qëllimi kryesor i është të kthehemi në Kosovë. Sa më shpejt është e mundur.
The journey north by car was frightening enough for me at times. The trip south in this unstable wagon has terrifying moments. Yet for these refugees, roads without guardrails are nothing to the horrors they've seen and the dramatic escape that's still underway. They're stunned by it all. They're exhausted. And hungry too, with only bread and a little cheese to eat these past few days. The women and children have been sick throughout our journey. You're thinking of your own baby now.
Yeah.
And what are you thinking?
I'm just thinking that I don't know what I was going to do if something happened to my little baby like this.
How much longer have we got to go?
We got something like 6 hours.
We're slowing down for a KLA checkpoint, but the soldiers wouldn't let me take pictures here. They hollered at the men in our convoy and accused them of being deserters. We were only allowed to pass once the men promised to return and join the army. They argued they must first find shelter for their families.
I mean, do you feel a bit guilty that you haven't joined? I mean, many students have.
Nuk njohun njerëz tillë. Ka, megjithatë ka, më s'kam pas kontakt. E ni veten. Çdo njëri për ne do të thotë për ne vetë. Atë çka thash më parë. Do të bërëm të nivelizojmë këtë gjë.
An hour or so later, we stop again, but this time only for rest. Shani Haliti, our driver, comes to see if everyone's okay. It was Shani's wife, who was killed in the grenade attack only 9 days earlier. Traveling this way is utterly exhausting. They take just a few short breaks, even though it's cold and uncomfortable. They need to keep moving, to put distance between them and what happened in their village. They need to get off this dicey road. What are you making of all this?
nothing. It's just absurd. It's completely absurd.
Do you believe, like they do, that they'll go home again?
Yes.
Why?
Yes. Someday they will go home again, because it's their land. It's their tradition, it's their culture, it's their life there.
What waits for them in Tirana?
God knows. Hospitality of the people.
But it's the poorest country in Europe. Look where they've come.
Well, you probably don't know Albanian saying. They offer their heart, a piece of bread, and some salt. And that's it, which means they offer everything they have.
It's nearly 12 hours since we left Kukës, and I've come back to our car to take pictures of the convoy. 12 hours, and we're only now seeing the first sign of aid. A packet of breakfast cereal, and, unexpectedly, a police escort.
It's because there have been some shooting against Kosovars during this road half an hour ago. And the police are afraid that this might happen again. So they are escorting us to Tirana.
Why would anybody shoot them?
One is robbers, simply robbery. Poor people robbing, people in need, which is absurdity. And the other one is, which to me is most probable, is that the Serbs have activated their agents here in Albania to create social unrest.
But it's impossible to know who's shooting who. It was 2:30 in the morning by the time we stopped, about an hour's drive past Tirana. The capital was overloaded with refugees, so the police had us drive on to the port of Durrës, where they finally found a place to camp. By day, everyone could see this would not do, even for temporary shelter. So the Gashis and Halitis, connected by marriage and deep friendship, are forced to make the practical but painful decision to break into small groups to improve their chance of finding proper shelter. In war, friends and even family so easily lose touch.
How can you stand all these parting between one another?
The proverbi që njeri është më e pasiguri. E kjo vërtet po dëshmohet.
The following day, we found the Gashis already managing to put order back into their lives. They'd found a house on the edge of Tirana. And as Albanian television played its part in reuniting scattered refugees, Mukhtar Gashi's relatives in Germany were promising to send money and clothes. In Durrës, the neighbors had welcomed the refugees into their homes, and the Halitis had begun to wash away the nightmare of their journey. But some things will not be forgotten. Shani Haliti will never hold Arlinda's baby. She was pregnant with their first child when she died. And Shani's mother, Marema, dwells on the painful memory of leaving her daughter-in-law behind without proper burial.
Si pike parë që tonë thuj, kur kom hypë në kerë, që ja kom këthy shpinën Kosovës, vetëm shpirë të saj që më edhe djalim ka me ta më njetim.
Albanian hospitality is helping the Gashis and Halitis to recover. But their journey is not over. They say they will never settle in exile. They must go home, and their ideal of an independent Kosovo has now become an imperative.
Mitarbeiter täglich her. Das meiste wird für das Krankenhaus gebraucht, den Rest bekommen die Flüchtlinge, 4 Liter pro Tag. Das ist der Durchschnittsbedarf für einen Europäer. Refide Gojonovic findet das zu wenig. Sie sind zu fünft. Das Wasser aus dem Hahn muss zum Trinken und für die körperliche Pflege reichen. Für die Kinder reicht das Wasser nicht, sagt sie, und seit mehr als 3 Wochen haben wir nicht mehr geduscht. Viele Flüchtlinge erhitzen das Wasser in Plastikkanistern. Was sauber war, ist wieder verunreinigt. Neben der medizinischen Versorgung und Betreuung müssten die Helfer des Deutschen Roten Kreuzes zusätzlich Aufklärung betreiben. Doch für mehr als Nothilfe haben sie keine Zeit.
Etwas mehr als 180 Kilometer südöstlich von Tirana liegt die Provinzstadt Korça. Nicht weit entfernt haben Soldaten der deutschen Bundeswehr innerhalb kürzester Zeit ein Flüchtlingslager aus dem Boden gestampft, das Platz für 5000 Menschen bieten soll. Fast 2 Wochen lang haben 150 Männer unter Leitung der Deutschen Gesellschaft für technische Zusammenarbeit Wege geebnet und sanitäre Anlagen installiert. Hunderte von Zelten sind mit Flugzeugen der Bundesluftwaffe von Köln nach Albanien geflogen und unter manchmal widrigen Wetterbedingungen aufgestellt worden.
Also die Idee ist, Kleingruppen, Familien unterzubringen und diese Kleingruppen, die Familien wieder in etwas größeren Einheiten unterzubringen, so für 100 Mann, so eine kleine Gemeinde mit eigener Stromversorgung, Wasser, Toiletten, Duschen, kleine Einheiten schaffen in diesem Riesenlager. Das ist die Idee, so ein bisschen das Soziale mit reinbringen, auch Spielplätze vorsehen. Also es ist also nicht alles dicht zugebaut, ein anderes Konzept.
Die Flüchtlinge, die in diesem Lager keine 20 Kilometer von der Grenze zu Griechenland entfernt untergebracht werden, sind nach ihrer Flucht aus dem Kosovo alle zuerst im Norden Albaniens gewesen. Weil die Lager dort völlig überlastet sind, werden die Geflohenen auf andere Camps im Lande verteilt. Bevor die Menschen hier in Korça ankommen, haben sie eine rund 20-stündige Fahrt in Omnibussen oder auf der Ladefläche von Lastwagen hinter sich.
Zuerst werden die Flüchtlinge registriert. Im Moment ist das Lager noch nicht ganz fertig. Wir haben jetzt Platz für 750 Menschen, aber es könnten einmal 5000 werden. Dafür müssen wir noch Toiletten und Duschen bauen, aber für die ersten 750 ist alles fertig. Ich denke, es ist hier viel besser als dort, wo sie herkommen. Es gibt frische Luft, Toiletten und fließendes Wasser für jeden. Bald kann hier selbst gekocht werden, eine Schule ist geplant und Gemeinschaftseinrichtungen. Das ist also eine deutliche Verbesserung für die Flüchtlinge.
Weniger weit von den Auffanglagern in Kukes entfernt und fast in Sichtweite der Grenze zu Montenegro liegt die Stadt Shkodra, in Deutschland unter dem Namen Skutari bekannt. Auf dem schon lange nicht mehr benutzten Flugplatz des Ortes haben österreichische Soldaten Zelte aufgestellt. Unmittelbar daneben hat der deutsche Malteser Hilfsdienst damit begonnen, ein Lager aufzubauen. Mit dem Schlimmsten rechnend wird es so gebaut, dass Flüchtlinge aus dem Kosovo hier gegebenenfalls auch überwintern können.
Wir gehen nicht davon aus, dass das Problem kurzfristig lösbar ist und deswegen gehen wir davon aus, dass ein Langzeitcamp ist, was auch über den Winter...
Erforderlichen Ausrüstungsgegenstände ist am Wochenende hier angekommen und eingelagert worden. Dort, wo jetzt noch grüne Wiese oder Ödland ist, soll dann Anfang Mai das Lager fertig werden. Ein Ende des Flüchtlingsstroms aus dem Kosovo ist nicht in Sicht, sodass zivile Hilfsorganisationen oder Soldaten weiterhin Wochen damit verbringen werden, Camps aufzubauen. Camps, die für fast 800.000 geflohene Kosovo-Albaner eine vorübergehende Heimat sind.
A million Kosovar Albanians have been displaced over the past 12 months, and more refugees are arriving at the border every day. These are the people that NATO is trying to help, but there are still reports of ethnic cleansing in the region. NATO and the KLA's action is intensifying, and there doesn't appear to be an end in sight. But after the bombs have stopped falling, what will become of the displaced people? Should we be accepting more refugees into Britain? If they want to return to Kosovo, will there be any homes or villages left for them? And what about the KLA? Should NATO start arming them? Many issues, many answers. It's your call. What do you think? If you have any questions or comments for my guest, he is Bayram Getse from the Kosovo Crisis Centre. And you can email us with your comments or questions to him at yourcall@sky.co.uk. That's yourcall@sky.co.uk. Or indeed you can call us directly using the telephone 0171 757 7070. That's 0171 757 7070. And if you're calling from outside the UK, then do remember to use the country code, which is 44. So my guest, Bayram Getse from Kosovo Crisis Centre, very warm welcome to you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
This morning here on Sky News, we have been watching exclusive pictures of the KLA. Do you class the KLA as an army now, as an organised force, or is it still a group of guerrilla fighters?
KLA, it is a army. It has been created because of the Serbian oppression. Last year, if you remember, in the March of last year, when the Serbian offensive started in Drenica, KLA had just some hundreds of people. And now there are thousands of them, and it is a people's army, but the KLA is limited. They are only armed with light weaponry, and they are not a match to a very highly armed Serbian army. We can see that NATO is striking this army for 33 days now, and they still can't take all of their weaponry. Yugoslavia had was probably the second largest army in Eastern Europe before these airstrikes started. So KLA is doing its utmost to defend their own people, and it is people's army, and it has backing of 100% of Albanians in Kosovo.
Looking at it from the other perspective, NATO is taking action which the ethnic Albanians and the KLA approve of. Why not stop their offensive and just leave it up to outside forces to sort out so that they can have a diplomatic solution eventually in which they can participate?
Well, NATO, what has started, NATO has tried everything diplomatic. I mean, Western countries. They have exhausted all diplomatic efforts on solving the Kosovo issue. When they started this now, we have to remember that before they started, Šešelj had stated that if we are attacked by NATO, we will suffer, but there will be no Albanians left in Kosovo. This was pre-planned before. So what Serbia is doing now is trying to get rid of all Albanians and then stop the airstrikes and discuss the issue, meaning that there will just few of them be able to go back to their homes, and they will realize their aim of ethnically cleansing the region and changing the ethnic structure of the region, for that matter, than Kosovo remaining forever in Serbian hands. Okay. NATO cannot stop now. If NATO stops now, that means Milosevic has won.
Okay.
In this conflict, Milosevic has to capitulate.
Well, let's actually take some calls, Brian. I'm sure many people want to put some points to you.
The envoy to the Balkans, Viktor Chernomyrdin, has been meeting top officials in Moscow as they prepare for talks today with America's Deputy Secretary of State, Strobe Talbot. Mr. Chernomyrdin is likely to fly to Strasbourg on Wednesday to brief the Council of Europe's Parliamentary Assembly on his negotiations in Belgrade.
Sky News has exclusive footage which shows how KLA guerrillas have been resisting the Serb forces inside Kosovo. Sky's correspondent Peter Sharp has sent this special report on the men and women fighting for their homeland.
At a base near Jakovica, 8 kilometers inside southern Kosovo, KLA forces gather in the rain, preparing to move out to counter the Serb military build-up along the frontier. These pictures, filmed by a KLA volunteer, were said to have been shot over the last 4 days near the Roci Dugogin area. The unit commander, traveling in a captured Serb 4-ton truck, is rendezvousing with his troops. Traveling in a vehicle inside Kosovo by day suggests the KLA were in control of this southern strip of the country. Morale's pretty good, he says. The moment I say something, they do it. These were young volunteers, some in their teens, part of a force of 350 KLA massing for this attack. Are you afraid, he was asked? No, he says, I wouldn't be here if I was afraid. Using a radio scanner, they listen to Serb radio traffic as they prepare for the attack. At dusk, the force splits into 2 units before opening probing fire, trying to draw a Serb response to identify their positions. The next morning, some of the Serb dead. There were no prisoners. Of equal importance in these operations is the intelligence the KLA forces on the ground can provide to NATO in its continuing airstrikes. Today, plotting Serb forward positions for their own artillery attack. 7 women were said to be part of this frontline unit. Outgunned and outmanned, the mortar fire will help pinpoint Serb targets for for the NATO air attacks. But the KLA are also taking casualties, this unit preparing to bring out their wounded. A 2-day march to pick up the injured, another 4 days to bring them out. Passing a blown-up Serb observation tower, so long a symbol of Belgrade's military dominance along this frontier. And for the local KLA force commander, one bit of welcome news. Over the radio, he's heard that his wife and family have escaped safely into Albania. I'll stay here in Kosovo, he said, until it's time to lead them home. Peter Sharp, Sky News, on the Kosovo-Albanian border.
Gli ultimi 50 sono stati salvati dalla Guardia Costiera nella tarda mattinata. Erano stati abbandonati su uno scoglio dagli scafisti, poi fuggiti. Arrestati invece dalla Guardia di Finanza altri 2 scafisti di nazionalità albanese che avevano scaricato un gruppo di profughi sulla spiaggia di Otranto. I profughi provengono quasi tutti dal Kosovo, sono interi nuclei familiari, moltissimi come sempre i bambini. All'ospedale di Maglia è stata ricoverata una giovane donna incinta. Tutti gli altri sono stati invece condotti nel centro di prima accoglienza di Otranto, da dove in giornata verranno trasferiti in altre regioni italiane. Già da ieri nei centri di accoglienza del Salento, infatti, non ci sono più posti.
Die deutschen Ärzte. In den 2 Wochen, die sie hier sind, haben sie nicht viel Positives zu erzählen. Rund 100 Patienten kommen jeden Tag zur ambulanten Behandlung. Viele sind chronisch krank. Oft haben sie vergessen, welche und wie viele Medikamente ihnen die Ärzte im Kosovo verschrieben haben. Die Vertreibung und die Flucht haben die Menschen traumatisiert, vor allem die Alten. Sie brauchen psychologische Betreuung, doch dafür reichen die Kapazitäten der deutschen Rotkreuzhelfer nicht. Patienten, die lange stationär behandelt werden müssen, bringen die Ärzte in lokale Krankenhäuser nach Skopje. Nur zur Aufnahme der albanischen Patienten hat die mazedonische Regierung zugestimmt.
Da haben wir eine gewisse...
Das Roten Kreuzes muss eine Kleinstadt versorgen. Fast 30.000 Vertriebene leben im Flüchtlingslager Prashta. Wie viel Kranke in den Zelten liegen, weiß keiner. Durch das nasskalte Wetter verschlechtert sich die hygienische Situation täglich. Noch gibt es keine Epidemien. Um dem vorzubeugen, bereitet das Deutsche Rote Kreuz Wasser aus diesem Fluss auf. Rund 120.000 Liter hochwertiges Trinkwasser stellen die